Hello everybody, and welcome back to Tyrion Cuthbert, Attorney of the Arcane. Today, we are finishing the third case, the origin of Horus. Let's get started. At least I'm pretty sure we're finishing the case, unless they decide to do a second trial part. Hey! What's up? Is something wrong? No, not at all. Yeah, why would anything be wrong? It seemed we both silently agreed not to acknowledge what had happened. That was probably making things worse in hindsight. I see. Are you okay? It's just a lot to take in. I would have never guessed that one simple accident would turn into some gigantic conspiracy. And to think Justin was the mist-weaving phantom this entire time. You know about that story? I've picked up some bits and pieces from the residents here and there. It was clearly a dark time for the city from the sounds of it. All the more reason to be grateful for your acquittal. Are you sure you're not getting ahead of yourself? I don't think so. We have proof that Justin destroyed the guardrail using his magic ring. You had nothing to do with what happened. It was really just an accident in every sense. I had to admit that I shared some of Dracogan's uneasiness. The Inquisition and Kingsguard were moving frantically when we left the tavern this morning. It surely had something to do with the stolen cargo, but something seemed off about their movements. It seemed they were mobilizing for more than just a retrieval. I suppose it didn't matter either way. No matter what they had in store, I would have quit Dracogan. Hi guys. Court is now resumed for the trial of Stephanic Dracogan. During our last proceedings, the defense argued that the victim's death was a result of murder, not simple negligence. This was supported by a witness who claimed to have seen a spell cast on the victim before his death. Your Honor, over the last day, we've investigated the crime further, and new facts have come to light. Nevertheless, I maintain that my client is not to blame for Justin's death. Unfortunately, the blame lies with Justin himself. Is that so? Your Honor, the victim was wearing a magical ring that allowed him to cast conjuration magic. It seemed that he entered the refinery in order to steal business documents from my client, and the ring was meant to aid in that. After he had stolen the documents, he activated the ring on the refinery catwalk. It malfunctioned in some way, causing an explosion of spatial energy. That energy is what broke apart the guardrail. Are you trying to say that the victim was the culprit behind the most recent string of robberies? Unfortunately, I am, Your Honor. Is that it, Mr. Cuthbert? What are you talking about, Steelwind? It's obvious that my client didn't have any hand in Justin's death. And do you have any evidence of that? Mosarika Tudor saw a magical effect blast the guardrail apart. We've been over this, Miss Tudor has every reason to lie in her testimony last session. She didn't know about Justin's ring. How could she have known to lie about something like that? You're assuming that she didn't know about it beforehand. The two of them were known friends. It's not implausible that he showed it to her. Okay, then prove it. You have to prove that. Well, what about the Crown Prince? He saw the magical effect as well. For obvious reasons, the Crown Prince can't be called to testify in a case of this magnitude. As far as the courts are concerned, you can't use his testimony as evidence. What if he just comes down here anyways? I'm sure he would come down here for us to question him. He seems like he would love that shit. She was being unreasonably obtuse, even more so than usual. What was she doing? On the subject of the victim, we've also discovered new facts regarding his actions that morning. The prosecution would like to call Lucio Steelman to the stand. The Grand General? As many of you know, the serial robber stole cargo from an Imperial ship on the morning of the accident. We've since located the cargo, and what we found paints quite the picture of the victim's intentions that day. I see. Bailiff, please escort the Grand General to the stand. He's such an imposing man. Okay, I guess I'll just say it. Witness, please state your name and... Are you really going to waste my time with that? We all know who I am. Look, Enough. I'm giving my testimony now. My god, witness testimony. Justin Way has been committing a string of robberies in Ornox Harbor, the last of which included an Imperial shipment of high-capacity energy cells. Way was working with insurrectionists who provided him with an advanced magical ring. He used that ring during his robberies. One of the ring's functions allowed him to teleport himself. The other allowed him to summon an item to him. Way had taken the stolen energy cells and placed a bomb within them. He was going to summon it into the refinery and detonate it. What? There was a bomb inside that thing? Father, by the skilled lord, why would you say that? What are you on about? I gave the testimony as you asked. Yes, but I thought you had enough sense to leave certain details out of it. What details? Insurrectionists were planning to bomb the industrial district. How could a commoner brazenly rob an Imperial ship? Is the kingdom really so powerless? That boy was a thief and a terrorist. He deserved what happened to him. Those details. So they really were planning to use those energy cells to make a bomb. I can't believe Justin would agree to something like this. He worked with the people there. Who would have anything to gain from doing something like this? Was Lucio trying to manufacture a catastrophe so that he could march his soldiers into Ornox? No, I need to think through this rationally. Both of the Steel Ones have been acting strangely lately. There was something else happening here. I guess it didn't matter. Cross-examination. Justin Way has been committing a string of robberies in Ornox Harbor, the last of which included an Imperial shipment of high-capacity energy cells. I've learned that Justin was quite skilled at breaking into secure places, but I never imagined he'd be able to break into an Imperial ship without being caught. He shouldn't have. The men stationed there were negligent. At least that's the most generous interpretation of what happened. Generous? Way was working with insurrectionists who provided him with an advanced magical ring. He then used that ring during his robberies. Do you have any proof to substantiate that claim? What other explanation is there? Well, you might want to stage a catastrophe in the heart of Von Sanctus's territory. That would let you march your soldiers right into the land of one of your rivals. Just name one possible explanation. Mr. Cuthbert, the prosecution does not refute the defense's statements. The prosecution also does not conclude that the victim was part of any insurrectionist group. One of the ring's functions allowed him to teleport himself. The other allowed him to summon an item to him. Could he summon any item he wanted? He would need to affix a specific kind of energy crystal to the object he wanted to summon. We found such a crystal attached to the metal chest containing the bomb. There's no doubt that the ring was set to summon that chest. How can you be so sure? I thought the ring was too damaged by the vat chemicals to identify that. Luckily, the crystal attached to the bomb was not. We were able to verify its connection to the ring, however disrupted it was. It was clear that he meant to summon that chest into the refinery. It was only out of sheer luck that he died before that could happen. We're lucky he never got the chance to summon that container. The result would have been catastrophic. Why are you so sure that he was planning to target the refinery? He could have been planning to rob my client and place the bomb somewhere else. Arcane refineries, such as our clients, create volatile, yet controlled chemical reactions. Those high-capacity energy cells alone had enough of an explosive yield to level a city block. If detonated near the refinery, the ensuing explosion would have been exponentially larger. That's terrifying. From the way the bomb was constructed, it seemed that it was meant to be as destructive as possible. Justin Way could have teleported that bomb to his position at any moment. I find it difficult to believe that he'd risk bringing the bomb into the refinery if that weren't his intention. Was Justin really planning to blow up the refinery? I don't know, and it's not as if he can tell us. Still, Liu Shou's making a lot of assumptions about what happened. Yeah, I guess he's the type of person to jump to conclusions. He could be wrong about a lot of things. Okay, who's working with insurrectionists? I feel like this is gonna be the thing. Nope. Huh. Objection! Nope.
Objection! Objection!
Grand General, the ring allowed the victim to teleport himself and summon objects to him. Do both of those magical effects belong to the school of conjuration magic? Yes, they both involve instantaneous spatial movement. Then I'm afraid you were wrong about what Justin did that day. He did summon the bomb to the refinery that day. Or at least he attempted to. What are you talking about? The bomb was found in that old abandoned house. You were the one who alerted us to that. Why is this sprite so low quality? That may be, but we identified that there were traces of conjuration magic on the box. Justin's ring was damaged in the accident. It couldn't have been activated at any point after he died. He must have attempted to summon the bomb that morning.
Objection!
What the fuck? What the fuck was that? Justin could have simply summoned the box to the abandoned house before he planted it at the refinery. I have a witness who can confirm that the metal chest has been in the abandoned house since the night before the accident. Then it must have been teleported in preparation for the bombing. No one knew about that house other than the victim and a few delinquents, Steelwind. They wouldn't carelessly move around a dangerous bomb without a good reason. If it had been summoned, why was it in the abandoned house instead of the refinery? Why wasn't the bomb found in the refinery? Maybe. The ring was activated. No, Steelwind had a point. Justin had attempted to summon the bomb. Why was it found in my house? Oh, summoning spell. Because the summoning spell ultimately failed, he tried to summon that large chest on the catwalk, but there wasn't enough room. The spell failed, and the resulting spatial shunting damaged the chest and blew apart the guardrail. You've contradicted yourself, Mr. Cuthbert. And how's that? Your entire defense is based on the testimony of Mosarika Tudor. I went looking for him and spotted him on the catwalk. It looked like he was talking to someone. That's when I saw a flash of magical light. Justin got blasted with a spell. It ripped apart the guardrail he was leaning on, and he fell into that vat of chemicals. She thought the victim had been blasted with a spell. If what you're saying is true, then that would imply that Justin summoned the chest right onto his location. It's possible that Mosarika was mistaken about that one detail. Your entire case is predicated on her testimony. If even you don't have the confidence in her testimony, I don't think you have much of a case. But let's assume that Justin did summon the chest at his location. That also contradicts Miss Tudor's testimony. Summoning the chest at his position wouldn't have just inflicted damage on the guardrail. Attempting to summon that large container would have inflicted damage on him as well. Now, you could argue that the spatial shunting was what ultimately pushed the victim off the catwalk. But in our last session, you were adamant that the victim fell in after the rail was destroyed. I did say that, but... That's also ignoring the fact that Mr. Wei had been using that ring for several months. He was a master thief who had been expertly using that ring to escape the sites of his robberies. He would know the dangers of spatial shunting. She was actually making a lot of great points, and they didn't seem to contradict anything we'd learned so far. Rika seemed so sure of what she saw. The Crown Prince even confirmed it when he told us. We both even mentioned a prism-shaped flash of light when the guardrail broke. They had to have seen Justin attempt to summon that metal container. What was going on? I needed to think through this rationally and review everything. With all the facts laid out, there had to be an explanation that was consistent with all of them. It was difficult to get into Justin's headspace before the accident happened, but I did know one thing. He used the device when he wasn't supposed to. He didn't disappear like he usually did. There was an explosion of energy. Hold on. I was almost caught by it. I barely escaped the blast. Wait, he tried to teleport when he was on the catwalk? According to Queen, he activated the ring on the catwalk. How did Justin use the ring when he was on the catwalk? She seemed to think that he was trying to teleport, but from what happened afterwards, he had probably activated the summoning spell. No, Queen said that he attempted to teleport. Mosarika and the Crown Prince witnessed him attempt to summon the container to him. Which one of these was true? They were both true. Steelwind, the ring must have been designed to activate the teleportation spell and the summoning spell at the same time. Justin wasn't affected by the spatial shunting because he was being teleported elsewhere. That's an awfully large leap in logic. I doubt you have anything to substantiate it. You said it yourself, didn't you? It's kind of weird, honestly. Artificer fitted into rings usually only has one function. Why is that? Unlike spells cast by a mage, Artificery needs to differentiate which spell to cast. Usually devices with multiple spells will have some kind of switch or multiple buttons. There was no need for the ring to differentiate between which spell to cast. Both spells were linked to each other, and they were being activated at the same time. That would explain Miss Tudor's testimony. And when the summoning spell failed, his teleportation must have failed as well. He must have tried to catch himself on the guardrail that had been there moments ago. But it had been destroyed by this failed summoning. He fell right into the vat. If your theory is true, why would he try to plant the bomb on the catwalk? That would be the worst place to put it. She did have a point there. If Justin had been using the ring to teleport during his thefts, he should have known about the spatial shunting. It was obvious that the large metal container wouldn't fit on the catwalk. And Dracogan's office was close by too. If he wanted to plant the bomb, a closed room would have been far better. Why did Justin use the ring when he was on the catwalk? Why would he activate the ring when he should have known it would fail? He didn't know! What? He didn't know that the ring would summon the bomb to his position. That's ridiculous. How could he possibly not know? He'd been using that ring in his robberies for months. Someone else gave him that ring, Grand General. They could have only told him about the teleportation function, not the summoning function. For whatever reason, he decided to teleport while he was on the catwalk. Queen even said that he activated it when he wasn't supposed to. Where was Justin supposed to be when he activated the ring? That must imply that he was expected to activate the ring somewhere else. Somebody was supposed to be inside. It just gave me the answer there. If someone had really wanted to plant an explosive in the refinery, the best place would have been in my client's office. Whoever gave Justin that ring expected him to activate the ring while he was in there. He would have teleported away, none the wiser to the fact that he was switching places with the bomb. But again, he's been using the ring for months. I find it difficult to believe the ring would have a summon function if its only purpose was to summon the bomb. You're right. He must have been summoning something else to each of the places he was robbing. What was Justin summoning to each of the crime scenes? Justin Way was summoning the business documents. No, the false evidence of treason. He was planting false evidence of treason! What? At some of the crime scenes, the City Watch found chests containing weapons, explosives, and illegal communications. The victims were never the ones who reported the robberies, it was always someone else. At first I thought the serial robber was trying to reveal dissidents. The opposite was true. Whoever was behind this was using Justin to frame people for treason. And they were targeting members of the workers' unions. Grand General, you knew something was strange, didn't you? That's why you took the victims into protective custody instead of charging them with treason. I don't answer to you, boy. That might as well have been an admission. Either way, it seemed like I finally found a proper motive. Someone was paying Justin to plant false evidence on members of the workers' unions. This person was also filing false reports to make it sound like there were tensions between them and Dracogan. Was the bomb also a part of this plot? Were they trying to raise tensions further by causing a catastrophe? Who would benefit from something like that? It couldn't have been Lucio. If it were, he would have simply charged the Union members with treason. Von Sanctus didn't make sense either. He might have had something to gain from demonizing the workers' unions, but he's the one who would have had the most to lose from that bomb destroying his land. Could it be Sybil? I didn't know that much about her personally. All I knew was that her noble house controlled the judicial and legislative branches. Did she have something to gain from orchestrating this? No matter who it was, I still didn't have any evidence connecting them to the robberies. That's why they had Justin do their dirty work. They did everything they could to cover up their involvement. The only connection I had was Queen. The mastermind behind this obviously never considered that someone could talk to her. But according to her, they were also able to talk to her like I could. I doubted that the judge would suspend the trial just so I could try to catch a wandering cat. What physical evidence was related to Queen? Why is this black and white? There had to be something that could tell me who was working with her. Leather strap. Is it going to be either one of them? The leather strap. Justin dropped it before he fell into the vat. And the Crown Prince mentioned that Justin grabbed the animal before he fell. He needed to simply follow the plan. Instead, he tried to betray me that's Queen talking, goddamn. He needed to simply follow the plan. Instead, he tried to betray me at the last moment. He even tried to pull me in with him. Luckily, the only thing harmed was my neckband. Justin grabbed Queen before he activated the ring. He must have ripped a collar that was around her neck. The strap had the numerals 6 on it. What evidence is related to this leather strap? Or so I thought, but there was something else I found that changed the meaning of that engraving. This strap of leather has Edda engraved into it. There are 2 halves of a whole. Pet collar. 2 leather straps formed to create what looks like to be a pet collar. One piece is engraved with the letters VI and was dropped by Justin before he fell into the vat. The other piece is engraved with Edda and was found lodged in the dented metal container in my house. Neither of those spelled Queen, but it's possible she responded to a different name. Who said a name with V and Edda in it? I feel like I've heard a name like that before. I don't fucking know. You? No, that wasn't it. I remember I had a name like this before. What was I think it may have been when we were at Von Sanctus Manor. Was it Sybil? Why not indulge him, Lloyd? He seems harmless. Coraline. Anyways, you're waiting for Violetta to return, aren't you? Von Sanctus was waiting for Violetta. Could that be the name engraved on her collar? But how could he even be involved in this? Even he wouldn't be insane enough to blow up his own city after his feud with Dracogan. No, there had to be something more to this. And there was only one way to find out. Your Honor, I believe there's only one person who can truly tell us the true state of insurrection in Orinox. And that's its ruling lord, Lloyd Von Sanctus. Lloyd, are you joking? Is something wrong, Grand General? It's nothing. Without waiting for the bailiff, the Grand General marched away from the stand and took the seat in the gallery. Thank you for taking the stand today, Your Grace. I don't see why I have to take the stand. Surely the reports from the City Watch should be enough. Yeah, I guess I wouldn't expect you to know much about what goes on in your land. You little brat! I think what Mr. Cuthbert means to say is that you were able to provide a more valuable perspective as the city's ruling lord. I'm sure you can understand, seeing as how confusing these reports of insurrection have been. Very well. I'll tell you exactly what the state of insurrection is in my city. Witness testimony. My city watch has been hard at work apprehending these insurrectionists, and we've been doing so with no collateral damage. They've been growing in number, however, no doubt because these unions have been feeding the people's discontent. From what I understand, they were even planning to plant a bomb in the refinery. Thank the scaled lord, nobody was hurt. Tensions have been getting worse and worse, and the steel winds have only been feeding them the flames. Well, he's obviously wrong. We know that someone is trying to frame the unions. Yeah, but we don't have any hard evidence to prove it yet. Until we can do that, it's our word against his. But if I'm lucky, his words will give me exactly what I need. Cross-examination. My city watch has been hard at work apprehending these insurrectionists, and we've been doing so with no collateral damage. Your city watch? They are my men. They only succeed under my leadership. Clearly. I know someone like you can't appreciate what I do for the people, but I should be commended for what I'm doing. I've peacefully coordinated the arrests of countless dangerous individuals, and have done so without any bloodshed. That's more than I can say for some of the other noble houses. He was obviously just stroking his own ego, but I couldn't discount the fact that the Ornox City Watch was technically... Ornox City Watch technically answered to him. That would have definitely made those frame jobs easier if you were involved. They've been growing in number, however, no doubt because those unions have been feeding the people's discontent. By feeding discontent, do you mean that they were advocating for basic human rights? I'm in no mood to have this argument with you again, boy. You seem to like evidence so much, so here you have it. Ever since these unions have popped up, the number of people being charged with treason has also risen. And all of those suspects were known members of various workers' unions. Yeah, I wonder why. Say what you want, your ridiculous conspiracy theories have no place here. We would see about that. From what I understand, they were even planning to plant a bomb in the refinery. Thank the scaled lord nobody was hurt. I'm sure it's a big relief for you, Von Sanctus. You seem to have gotten it into your head that I was somehow involved in this plot. But what would I have to gain from something like this? I may not own many of the businesses in Ornox's industrial district, but it is still my land. I would have the most to lose from orchestrating a catastrophe like this. That was still the one element that didn't make sense to me, and he knew that. Was he truly not involved? Or is there some other reward he could reap from the destruction of the industrial district. Tensions have been getting worse and worse, and the steel winds have only been feeding the flames. I won't deny that, at least in regards to the Grand General. But I doubt someone of your standing would honestly care. I resent that remark, boy. You may think that you can fool the gallery, but I know your real opinions. If it weren't for the workers' unions encroaching on your businesses, I bet you wouldn't give a damn about these tensions. And dissidence affects far more than just the commoners, boy. It has vast implications on every aspect of trade throughout the city. Assuming such dissidence actually exists. I've seen it, and I have the trade records to prove it. This so-called misweaving phantom stole several weapons and other dangerous items. We've had to massively restrict all potentially dangerous items coming into the harbor. It's been an absolute headache for our military as well. We've had to massively restrict... Okay, yeah, that. So at the end of the day, it's all about how it affects trade. You may not understand, but those shipments were integral to upgrading and maintaining our military. A military owned by your enemies. My house may have a rivalry with the Steelwinds, but our national defense is integral to Ivengard's continued survival. Lord Van Sanctus, watch your words. You're blind to it, but the other nations will strike us at the moment we show any weakness. Objection! Okay, so that is just fucked right now. Okay, hold on. Von Sanctus, that's enough. Okay. Hi again. This is the second time it's fucked up like that. The first was with the cross-examination thing. And the second was with that. That's fucking weird. We do not need you to stoke panic in the public with inflammatory words. I'm afraid I must agree, Lord Von Sanctus. I don't believe this is relevant to your testimony. Very well. Oh, do I not? Okay. He's just pulling his testimony right out of his... I know, but the only pieces of evidence that contradicted our testimonies from Dracogan and Mr. Morrison. It will be his word against theirs, and it's obvious who the courts will side with. He's bound to slip up eventually. I bet if you keep him talking, you'll catch him in a lie. I think it's this. Objection! Nope. It still has to be that piece of testimony. Though. Oh yeah. Objection! Von Sanctus, why did you agree to testify today? Why, you wished for me to testify to the state of insurrection in Ornox, did you not? I was merely doing my civic duty. Well, I think you took the stand for another reason. You wanted to reclaim control of the narrative, right in front of the people in the gallery. Think what you will. This is just baseless slander. I must agree, Mr. Cuthbert. Please refrain from insulting the current witness. He took the stand at your request. I guess I can't disagree with that, Your Honor, but the witness made one mistake. He lied in order to perpetuate that narrative. Again with the baseless accusations. Von Sanctus, you testified that you had to restrict all dangerous items coming into Ornox. But you were the one who ordered those high-capacity energy cells from the Crown Prince. Those same energy cells were used to construct the bomb Justice was supposed to plant at the refinery. How'd you know about that? You really don't leave your manor much, do you? I collected statements from the Crown Prince about that shipment. I was even the one that found the bomb before it could be set off. What? Arya? Why wasn't I informed of this? It wasn't directly relevant to your case. I have no doubt that you were restricting trade in an attempt to pretend you were doing something about the thefts and insurrectionists. You must have ordered those cells from the Crown Prince knowing that it would be difficult for anyone to get his testimony. Luckily, I have a way with people. Or like Aster is just a giant fanboy. Shut up! Regardless, one fact is clear. You didn't just restrict all the items coming to Ornox. You also ignored those restrictions to ship in the dangerous materials used to construct the bomb. So that's your game? I knew you didn't bring me onto the stand just to testify. What could possibly lead you to believe that I was involved with that thief? Well, Violetta seemed to be very involved with him. I knew it. How'd you even? He looked nervously around the room before catching himself. So what is it then? Are you going to call my cat to the stand to testify? No. I think you'll do just fine. You little brat. Fine. You want my testimony? I'll tell you exactly what's wrong with your foolish theory. Witness testimony. I've said this time and time again. What would I have to gain from blowing up my own land? I would have destroyed countless factories and refineries. Hundreds of lives would have been lost. Not to mention that I would do what it would do to my standing. It would render me completely powerless. My city would have been left defenseless. I'd just be leaving my land right open for Lucio to march in and maintain order. And there was the final defense. The one argument I didn't have a counter for. What he's saying makes a lot of sense. I know. I still don't understand why he would be involved in something like this. He may be petty, but he wouldn't have lasted long in the nobility if he were a complete moron. He wouldn't have done that just despite Dracogan or the unions. There had to be something else he was trying to accomplish. But what could be worth attacking his land? No matter what he got from it, it couldn't be worth giving up power to Lucio. Something else had to be happening here. Cross-examination. I've said this time and time again. What would I have to gain from blowing up my own land? I must agree with Lord Von Sanctus, Mr. Cuthbert. I don't see any reason to entertain this. Objection! If Mr. Cuthbert wants to waste the court's time with this line of question, I believe we should let him. Let him get it out of his system. Something was strange about the tone of her voice. It was like she was overplaying how she usually spoke during our trials. Was she covering for me? I would have destroyed countless factories and refineries. Hundreds of lives would have been lost. Seeing as how those facilities are no longer owned by you, I don't imagine you seeing that as a loss. Please, I know you wish to paint me as a monster, but do you have, as you do with every other noble that crosses your path? Do you honestly think I'd sacrifice so many lives without a good reason? Which implies that there is a reason you might take such a sacrifice. That's... He stopped himself again before drawing in a slow breath. I am not some bloodthirsty maniac. If you want to pursue the nobles with real blood on their hands, perhaps you should look toward the Grand General. Witness, may I remind you that my father is sitting in the gallery? The Duke practically choked on his own words as his head whipped to look over to the Grand General. He stammered for a bit before he continued. Well, anyways... Not to mention that... what that would do to my standing would render me completely powerless. Are you really telling us the truth? As the Duke of Commerce, I'm sure your holdings extend beyond the city of Ornox. Ornox is our main trading hub with other nations. Even if I don't personally own most of the facilities in the city, our entire trade network is built upon them. Without those facilities, supply lines would crumble in and nationwide manufacturing would grind to a halt. These were all really good points, which raises the question as to why he thought it was worth it. Was he really trying to sacrifice global trade, or did he have something else in mind to stop that from happening? My city would have been left defenseless. I'd just be leaving my land right open for Lucio to march in and maintain order. Would that really happen? For someone of your status, surely you have your own armed forces. I have access to some armed guards, perhaps? But they exist to carry out the law and protect the city from bandits and thieves. The kingdom would never trust such a small force to protect a key city like Ornox, especially after an active insurrection. So what was his plan then? Was he trying to set the Grand General up for another massacre? Or did he have some way to maintain order without the need for Lucio's intervention? That was the last piece I needed to establish his motive. Von Sanctus, can you add what you just said to your testimony? Whatever. It's not as if I have the numbers or manpower required to maintain order in a city under attack. You are the Duke of Commerce. Your gold could buy a lot of things, armed forces included. Yes, but it can't buy trust or loyalty. The kingdom would never abide me hiring mercenaries to protect the key city. Not when we have our own military to do so. Perhaps the kingdom would be persuaded otherwise, considering the news surrounding the Grand General's actions in the countryside. Maybe, but they would never allow me to hire mercenaries based in a town filled with hidden insurrectionists. We'd risk ceding more ground to anyone trying to stage a revolution. Again, everything he was saying was true. There had to be a way he was planning to work around that. It really doesn't make any sense. He clearly thought he'd thought this through. He wasn't just being reckless. He's making a lot of good points, which means the real reason he has to be something that would circumvent them somehow. He would have ruined industry in Ornox, and he would have invited the Grand General into his territory. He must have had a way to mitigate both of those hits to his power, and what he gained would have been worth that. I have the numbers of manpower.
Objection!
Nope.
Objection!
Not that.
Objection!
I don't know. I'm presenting everything. I don't fucking know. Okay, why the fuck did it do that? House Von Sanctus commands the entirety of our kingdom's industrial output. It directs the flow of trade throughout our kingdom. Every cog in the machinery of commerce, from the extraction of raw materials to the construction of finished products, was my concern. Of course, one cannot expect a workforce of commoners to operate as a perfect unit. People made mistakes, people got injured, people got sick, sometimes people even died. Such were the flaws of man, and there was no way around it. At least, that's what I'd always thought. You see, Horus is the nation south of Wyverngard. It's a small nation, dwarfed by the juggernaut that was our marvelous kingdom. But they were protected by the Order Australis, a peacekeeping organization that had every other nation in the world under its thumb. They were quite useful allies, and one could purchase raw materials and products from them on the cheap. I'd always been curious about how they could turn a profit while charging so low. I decided to travel there myself. I wanted to see what their secret was. And what shook me more than anything else I'd ever seen. It was beautiful. It was perfect. I saw legions of workers, obedient beasts of burden. Every hand knew its task. Every foot knew where to stand. Every minute was measured. Supervisors always stood watch over them, like a noble lord overlooking their kingdom. They never needed to bark orders. They simply needed to remind everyone that there was always someone watching. Arcane was small, but its population was dense. I drove by large stone buildings that towered over anything I'd witnessed in Wyverngard. The people were packed next to each other. There was only enough room for them to breathe. There would never be enough for everyone, but that just kept the people hungry. It was only later that I realized that this was part of the glorious design. Jobs were always available, and they were sold to the lowest bidder. Anyone who broke under the strain could easily be thrown away and replaced. There was always someone else waiting, eager to take what they had. It was a grand symphony of efficiency. It was a marvelous machine that never stopped. In that moment, in the moment when I witnessed divinity itself, I knew that this was the future of industry. No, this was the future of humanity itself. Nothing I'd built in Wyverngard could even compare to the utopia they'd create there. I spoke with their leaders. They told me about their plans. They told me about the arcane constructs, mindless machines that did everything they were told. They'd done the impossible, and they'd improved upon perfection. We no longer needed the commoners in order to thrive. I would be the master of my own universe.
Objection!
You really are a fool, aren't you, Von Sanctus? Why? Because you still believe I'd destroy my city just to spite your clients? No, it seems your plan was far more insidious than that. I've thought it over, and there's really no other explanation. You were really planning to do it, weren't you? You were planning to defend the city using a legion of arcane constructs. What? Arcane constructs? Are you referring to those suits of armor at the Imperial Academy? That's correct, Your Honor. I have a shipping report proving that the witness received a large shipment of arcane constructs recently. And according to the Harbor Master, you've been receiving shipments like that for the last few months. So what if I have? I don't. His head whipped around the room, first to the gallery, then to the Grand General himself. Lucio quietly narrowed his eyes at him. Von Sanctus practically flinched at his glare. You filthy little upstart! Excuse me. You're going to ruin everything. Your Grace. So it is true, then? Let me save. The Duke's teeth were so clenched that they might shatter. His breath was practically oozing with the vitriol that he wanted to throw at me. I can't open the menus, goddammit. You are not going to be the one who undoes me. Not you. Thank you. It's about time someone taught you your place, you little rat. I'm ready when you are, Von Sanctus. Come and lose another match. Argument. Do you think I was planning to use those contracts for combat? I was merely, I was going to use those contracts for labor. I was planning to use those contracts to work in my factories. Yes, that's it. What? You don't own any of the factories or refineries in Ornox's industrial district, Von Sanctus. What jobs could you have possibly had them fill? I have other cities in which I do business. Then why would you import and keep them in Ornox? I have no doubt that you plan to use those constructs as part of a labor force. But you'd only be able to do that after after your bomb destroyed the factories that were already there. It was a pretty good plan, Von Sanctus. I'm almost surprised you came up with it. You would stage an attack on your city, use your legion of constructs to restore order, and then use them as a labor force to rebuild the damage. Selling your constructs nationwide would have been easy after a demonstration like that. It was more than that, wasn't it, Lloyd? Arya, Constructs follow orders. They're not vulnerable to the disorganization and chaos of living soldiers. They'd be less likely to commit the atrocities my father has been allowing to happen in the countryside. With the recent news, you had the perfect opportunity to use those constructs to encroach on the Steelwind's domain. That's preposterous. Completely and utterly preposterous. There is no conspiracy. These insurrectionists are real. You have nothing that ties me to Justin. What proof do you have that I was working with that boy anyway? Everything he's been doing has nothing to do with me. No, it wasn't the indisputable proof. But I did have something that at least proved the Pillar family was involved. What? He literally... Okay. Whatever. What about this ring, Von Sanctus? It was a crucial tool in many of Justin's robberies. What about it? You can't tie that ring to me! It was fitted with artificery that was a lot more advanced than what's available to the public. Only a Pillar family would have access to something like that. Surely that's conjecture at best. Maybe, but it still points to the fact that someone of high status was involved in this. He was working with insurrectionists. Justin was loyal to the insurrectionists. Those dissidents are crafty, and they are all over Wyvengard. That boy was one of them. He was working hand in hand with them. If Justin was truly working with these insurrectionists, then why did he rob so many of them? Well, Not only did he rob them of all their possessions, his robberies revealed them to the authorities. Do you seriously think he'd do that to the very people he was working with? Then, he must have betrayed them. He was in massive debt, wasn't he? He must have become desperate and took whatever he could pay those off. How did you know about Justin Way's debts? I merely inferred it. It's not uncommon for peasants to overextend themselves financially. Right. I don't have to prove anything to you. That boy was desperate, and both of us know it. Justin took every opportunity he could to pay off his debts. He was a thieving rat. He had loyalty to no one. He could betray anyone to pay off his debts. This? No. He was trying to paint Justin as some petty thief. He was pushed into the corner because of his debts, but there was a line he wouldn't cross despite that. Except there was one person he clearly didn't betray, Von Sanctus. When he entered my client's office, he successfully broke into a safe. He had every opportunity to take the gold there, but he chose not to. So he had a crisis of conscience. So what? You're trying to paint Justin Way as some kind of heartless criminal who supported the insurrectionists. However, that's completely contradicted by his own actions. He had no idea about the fact that he was planting evidence of insurrection within the homes of his targets. He had no idea that he would be planting a bomb in the refinery using your ring. And he had no idea that the person telling him to do these things was you, Lloyd Von Sanctus. Duke's eyes nervously shot around the courtroom. He looked like a cornered animal. Every eye was on him. He could have denied everything, but his nervous indignation had betrayed what he'd done. There's no evidence, Mr. Cuthbert. What? There's no evidence that actually proves he was involved with this. You only have the ring, and that won't be concrete enough. That's right. There's no evidence tying me to that boy. Steelwind, what are you doing? You can't indict someone with this little evidence, especially not a duke. If I were to bring this to trial, it would never hold. Ha, you're completely right. You don't have any evidence against me. I made sure to cover all of my tracks. But everyone knew he did it. It was written all over his face a moment ago. He was going to blow up half of my city, just so he could sell some constructs. Countless lives would have been lost. After all that, was seriously going to get away with this? Come on, there had to be something. There was always something. They always leave something behind. But he was careful about this. He kept his distance from Justin and used Violetta to deliver his communications. The only reason that I found out was because of my ability to talk to animals. And it's not that as if I could prove that either. There's only one move I had left. Glaring at me. Glaring like that is unbecoming of you, boy. Again.
Naught can remain concealed.
There had to be something he left behind. Some sort of mistake he made. He was really careful about this. I just had to hold out hope that he slipped up somehow. Luckily for me, that container was already abandoned on the beach. I cast magic through Violetta to transport the container to the house. Then, when that boy placed the crystals inside the chest, I used Violetta to move the bomb into place. Of course, that bomb was constructed personally. I made sure to only use materials that the boy stole. To anyone else, it would look like he constructed that bomb. He had Justin do everything. He didn't even plan to place the bomb himself. He just teleported into the house using Violetta somehow. And that chest was already covered in traces of conjuration magic. He was careful about this. Could anyone prove that I was communicating with that boy? No, I made sure that all of my communications were delivered through send message. Obtained evidence, send message. Okay, I'll look at that later. I never actually met that boy in person. I just used Violetta to see him. Damn it! Send message wouldn't leave any evidence. Send message. School conjuration. Incantation Malum. Gesture none. Duration 1 hour. Concentration no. For the duration of this spell, the caster projects their voice to communicate with the target. Anyone within 30 feet within a 30 feet radius of the target can hear the caster's voice. The caster can also hear sounds close to the target, allowing for two-way communication. The target must be a person known to the caster. That person must also be conscious, otherwise the spell would fail. Alternatively, the target can be an object that is attuned to the caster's magic. It was also a conjuration spell, and those traces were already on Justin because of the ring. Von Sanctus planned for this. After all that hard work, I can't believe Lucio saw through our plan. He's more shrewd than we gave him credit for. Either that or he just got lucky. I'll need to talk to William. William? Was he talking about William Frege? Ugh, it didn't matter. There's nothing there for me to use. Could I have improved that? Okay. I had no choice but to have the constructs pass through the border officially. It would have been impossible to move that much cargo into Ornox secretly. Nothing over there for me to use. Could they use the ring in any way? No. The ring may be advanced, but it can't be tied to me. I commissioned it anonymously, and the artificer that made it has already returned to Horus. Even if they did know who he was, they would never have enough time or evidence to extradite him here. He had the ring manufactured in a way that couldn't be tied to him. How long had he been planning this? No, he'd accounted for everything. You can ruminate all you want. There's nothing you can do. Face it, boy, you've lost. I wasn't naive enough to think that I'd be able to win every case, but I'd never imagined that I'd lose one as important as this. Was I really going to lose, though? The source of my power is the everlasting support of the Dracogan Trading Company. They're pretty small, but they're only operating in Ornox right now. But I hear that they're planning to expand their operations throughout Wyverngard. Miss Tudor, I understand that you run a cafe in the food district. This cafe would not exist without the generous patronage of the defendant. You must feel quite indebted to him. After all, he saved you from the kind of life you lived before. I didn't trust it at first, but Dracogan's idea really took off. Finally having a say in things has been great for the workers in the city. Wait, the workers' unions were Stefanik Dracogan's idea? I've seen how this kingdom treats those at the bottom of society. And those without are treated like tools, worked by their employers until they break and need to be replaced. It's a simple thing, really. When you keep your employees happy, they perform better, and that pays itself forward. I created the first workers' union with Noah to allow workers to better advocate for themselves. I'm glad to see it set a precedent for the employees of other companies to do the same. Dracogan was doing a lot of good in setting an example for others to follow. The entire reason why I took this case was to defend him. Somehow I'd lost sight of that. Tell me, Von Sanctus, do you truly believe that Justin Way's death was my client's fault? Well, it certainly wasn't my fault. That wasn't what I asked. Do you believe that the guardrail broke because of my client's negligence or because of Justin's ring? He stayed silent for a while. It was obviously because of Dracogan's negligence. After all, there was no proof that Justin attempted to activate that ring. What about the traces of conjuration magic on the container? Any number of conjuration spells could have been cast on it. And the rail-shaped indent on the container? A coincidence that the container could have come from anywhere. There's no definitive proof that the container broke the guardrail. Look, unless you can prove that the container was in the refinery, you have no case. Justin grabbed Violetta's collar shortly before he activated the ring. We found half of this collar lodged into the container. Justin dropped the other half before he fell into the vat. Do you recognize this collar, Von Sanctus? That's Violetta's collar. I was wondering where it had disappeared to. Violetta? That's the name of the Duke's cat, Your Honor. And what? Do you think you can implicate me just because my cat was at the scene of the accident. I'm more interested in where both halves of this collar were found. Halves? This collar is really unique. It even has the name engraved into this leather. Which raises one question. Why was one half of this collar dropped by Justin, while the other half was found lodged in the chest containing the bomb? What? As you very well know, Justin activated the ring, but the spell failed to fully switch his position with the bombs. But before he did that, he grabbed Violetta's collar. I'm not sure what exactly happened, but the failed teleportation must have split the collar in half. One half remained in Justin's grasp, while the other was lodged into the chest that briefly appeared. This proves one indisputable fact. That Justin did activate the ring, causing the metal container to briefly appear on the guardrail and break it apart. The death of Justin Way was not a result of my client's negligence. So what? That doesn't prove my involvement in anything that happened. That doesn't matter. My job is and always has been to defend and acquit Dracogan from your false charges. I may not be able to win this time, but neither will you. Despite your best efforts, my client will continue to operate in Orinox. So with that said, I'd settle for a stalemate. Okay, that was a weird and very abrupt cut. And does the prosecution have any rebuttals to the defense's claims? We do not. And the court sees no reason to prolong this trial any further. How typical. You truly are a rat, scrounging at whatever scraps you can scrape together. My client is safe now, that's all that matters. Is his delusion contagious or something? Or are you just trying to cope with your loss? I've seen how much Orinox has changed because of his actions. There's a significance to that. All you've seen is our society take one small step closer to anarchy. Do you know the meaning of the word anarchy? I don't think you do. No matter, he's just one small man. It won't be long before he's forgotten. I exhaled deeply, the weight of this trial finally off my shoulders. Out of every case I've defended, this was easily the most stressful one. But I didn't know if I could consider this a victory. I still couldn't believe I let Von Sanctus get away with this. Was there anything else I could have done differently? Hey, don't look like that. I know you wanted to bring the Duke to justice, but you did a good thing today. No, what I really wanted was revenge. Don't be like that. You did a good thing. Dracogan can continue operating in Orinox. And Eureka gets to keep her cafe. For now, Von Sanctus isn't going to take this lying down. He's bound to try something else once the publicity dies down. I wouldn't be so sure about that. Dracogan? He may be acquitted in the eyes of the justice system, but the court of public opinion is a different thing entirely. Everyone saw how he was acting today. You may not have proved it in the legal sense, but it was obvious to everyone what he'd done. I'm sure word will spread. Is that really enough, though? He should be locked up after what he tried to do. I don't disagree with you, but there's something to be said about where his true power lies. Are you talking about his position? Not his position, but his image. People like Lloyd thrive on making the common folk feel powerless. He needs people to believe that there's nothing they can do in the face of his influence. Today you revealed Lloyd for what he truly is, a weak and desperate fool blinded by greed. His allies will keep him at a distance, and his enemies will jump at this opportunity. His days are numbered. There is some truth to his words. Prosecutor Steelwind. It seems that my father had some suspicions about what was happening. But even he never considered Von Sanctus to be the mastermind behind this. It's really unlike him. We all underestimated what he was capable of. You were trying to help me catch him, weren't you? That's why you kept drawing out the trial. I obviously can't confirm or deny that. But I did think that if anyone could reveal his crimes, it would be you, Mr. Cuthbert. Perhaps I was being too hopeful.
Don't sell yourself short. As I said, there's value in how you appear to the public as well. You've been standing your ground against the nobility. You've even challenged a duke this time around. I've seen it throughout the kingdom. You've lit a flame in those who might have lost hope.
I really wouldn't go that far.
Don't underestimate the light of inspiration. It may start from a single ember, but it can spread to all those that are willing to accept it within themselves. No one can stop a flame like that once it starts. Not you, not me, not even the king himself. That's why I started the workers' unions. I wanted to show people that our society could become something better.
It was definitely hopeful. And after everything that had happened, I could use a bit more hope. I would just need to keep doing what I was doing. The future would show how true Dracogan's words were. But I still felt uneasy. Even if Von Sanctus would lose power, a cornered animal was the most dangerous one.
You filthy rat! I will have words with you!
Oh, speak of the devil.
Hey, back off! It's fine, I can handle him, Celeste. So, what's so important to your grace?
There is no arcane spell in the world that can intercept the communications between a mage and a familiar. What did you do to Violetta?
A familiar?
Don't be coy with me, boy. I saw you speaking with her.
That is not any of your concern, Lloyd.
Lucio?
I suggest you stop harassing Mr. Cuthbert, lest you be suspected of coercion.
So that's what this was. He's one of yours. This isn't over, Lucio. This is far from over.
The Duke of Commerce left in a huff, grumbling to himself. I narrowed my eyes at the Grand General. For the first time, he wasn't surrounded by his knights. I don't like how low quality this sprite is. It bothers me.
He was speaking about familial bond.
What?
Whatever animal you spoke with was Lloyd Von Sanctus's familiar.
Obtained evidence, familial bond. Okay, why are you giving me evidence now? So that's how he was speaking with Violetta. It was just an arcane spell. Familial bond. School divination. Incantation Ratarum. Gesture none. Duration until either target dies. Concentration no. Excuse me. The caster forms a magical, unbreakable bond with the target creature, connecting them to the caster's magic. While this bond exists, the caster can telepathically communicate with the target over any distance. The caster can also choose to see through the target's eyes as long as they're connected. As long as they concentrate. Why did I say connected? I don't know. Any spells that affect the caster will also affect the target creature and vice versa. Lastly, the caster can also cast spells from the location of the target creature inside of their own location. But that just raised another question. How did you know that I spoke with his familiar?
An educated guess. You can speak to all animals, can you not?
I blinked at him.
What is the theocracy planning here?
The theocracy? Are you talking about the kingdom west of us?
Don't play games with me, I'm no fool.
I'm not, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Then why are you able to use Luminian magic?
What?
You possess the Eye of Radiance, the ability to read the minds of others.
I eyed him warily. He seemed to know more about the Eye of Horus than I did.
Like I said before, I've read the transcripts of your past cases, and what you did to me during the first session all but proved it.
The theocracy of Lumina was the nation west of us and Wyvern most hated enemy. I didn't know much about them. Any written information about them was heavily controlled by the kingdom. I'm not an agent of the theocracy, Lucio.
Perhaps, Perhaps not. So what? Are you going to have me executed for treason? Considering what's been happening lately, I doubt that would be a good look for you.
Just the opposite. You are now going to be my agent.
What?
There will come a day when I require your skills and abilities. The Eye of Radiance is too powerful a weapon for me to squander. I imagine it will be a great use to me.
And if I refuse, then I will treat you just like any other foreign agent.
Be ready. I imagine the day I call upon you will come sooner rather than later.
Celeste rushed over to me as soon as the Grand General left. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. He didn't hurt you, did he? What did he say? I think he's forcing me to work for him? What? He knew about the Eye of Horus. It was supposedly related to the Theocracy, Wyvern Guard's greatest rivals. After what I'd learned in the last few months, I figured that there must exist other types of magic. But I never considered that there might be an entire nation of people with abilities like mine. No wonder I couldn't find any information on the Eye of Horus. Wyvern Guard heavily curated any information about Lumina. I guess it doesn't matter. It's a problem for later. I'll talk to Arya about this. She might be able to help. We're actually heading to a tavern. Do you want to come with? No, I'm going to see Rika. She'll know what to do about what happened. She'll want to know about what happened. I'm tired. I'm tired, guys. Alright. Don't cause too much trouble for her. She's dealing with a lot. Hey, I never caused trouble! Of course. It may have come with a side of coercion, but the Grand General did give me another lead on the Eye of Horus. I needed to talk to Miss Timora about this. He might be able to dig up more information about the Theocracy and its magic. Your Grace, I have a visitor. No. Your Grace, you have a visitor. I thought I told you I wanted to be left alone. What idiot! Lord. William! You absolute moron! It's not what it looks like. They couldn't even prove anything. It doesn't matter. Even a child could have told that you were guilty. We needed those contracts to cripple Lucio's hold on the military. Now those bloody things are attached to your cursed name. Do you have any idea how difficult it will be to sell those things to the House of Lords now? Enough. Your house will soon be in shambles. I have a plan that will at least allow us to salvage what's left. Salvage? Hello there. It's all a bit anticlimactic, isn't it? What is, Father? I was really counting on all hell breaking loose in the city. Either old Lloyd would succeed, or Lucio would suss him out and take his head in a bloody spectacle. I'm giving him the Adachi voice. Which I guess you've heard. I haven't used it for Adachi because I haven't played Persona 4 on the channel. I've used it for Masao in Persona 1 and Louis in Hotel Dusk. It's kind of funny. Ruby's kid really pulls through to a fault, doesn't he? Everything ended too peacefully. He does tend to do that, doesn't he? We don't even have Justin to show for all our trouble. I was really bang on him entering the fold with us. It's a pity. He was taken from us too soon. Don't worry. We still have Freyga on our side. Yeah. We'll just have to put the final piece on her. I walked into the cafe again. I was coming after the lunch rush. There weren't that many people here. I spotted her talking to one of her employees. Check the inventory and tell me if we're running low on anything. I don't want us scrambling around like last week. Tyrion! Everyone's talking about what happened. It seems the Duke of Commerce was no match for the Lightsworn Monarch.
What's that look for? You did win, didn't you?
It's a bit more complicated than that.
Skilled Lord.
I know.
Is that really all we are to people like him? So many people could have gotten hurt. I live pretty close to the industrial district. I could have been caught in that explosion.
I can't imagine what could have happened if Justin had never decided to rebel against Von Sanctus.
Did he really do that though?
What?
Do you really think he was rebelling against the Duke? Maybe he just decided to teleport on that catwalk instead of the office.
I thought you believed in him more than anyone else.
I did, but did I really know anything about him? He was different after he served his sentence. Not worse, just different. I never knew he had debts to a criminal overlord. I never knew what actually happened to him in the dungeons over those years. He never wanted to talk about it.
I'd read a lot of stories about what happened in the dungeons throughout Wyverngard. I couldn't imagine what he must have gone through in there.
It was my fault he went through that. I should have never let him take the fall for me.
Don't say that. He made his own decision, and that decision was to protect you. Justin stole everything he could. He didn't care.
Justin stole everything he could. He didn't care. I don't know.
Is it this? He had every reason to take the golden Dracogan safe, but he left it there. He didn't know what those documents would be used for, but he knew that taking the gold would harm Dracogan. He left it. Despite everything he was doing, he still held gratitude and respect towards Dracogan.
I guess that would make sense when I guess that makes sense when you put it in that way. Thanks. I know it's been a while, but if you ever need to talk, I'm here.
And that ended another chapter in my life as an attorney. I always swore I'd never return to Orinox. I thought I needed to keep the past buried. But coming back here was exactly what I needed to start burying what happened all those years ago. I honestly still felt an indignant fury towards the Duke. I didn't think I could ever forget what had happened, what he had planned for the city. But I wasn't alone anymore. I had Miss Timora, I had Celeste, and I had my friends in Orinox. I didn't need to carry all this by myself. And in that moment, thinking back to the night Celeste comforted me, I realized something. I think I have feelings for her.
What?
I stood up from my seat, my eyes wide in terror. A migraine returned to the vengeance. Skilled Lord, I think I have feelings for Celeste.
Oh, shit. That's great, Tyrion. Is that great? I don't fucking know. I don't actually know what the deal is between you two.
She's my coworker, Rika.
Yeah, but you're obviously more than that. You're friends at least.
I never even considered romantic relationships until now. We spent a lot of time together anyway. What would that even change if we went down that route? Humans entered romantic relationships to fulfill emotional needs and engage in intimacy, both of which enrich the lives of both parties. Thinking about the intimacy was very distracting. I needed to focus on something else. Rika, what do I do?
Tyrion, I've known her for 3 days. You really need to give me more to work with.
Well, I guess it all started a few months ago. I met her at a tavern, and she introduced herself with a joke about masturbation, I think?
What?
It made more sense the way she said it.
Okay, let's start with something simple. How did she start working as your bodyguard?
Oh, that's a bit of a long story too. Rika sat down at the table nearby as she called over the waiter.
I've got some hours to kill before the dinner rush. Tell me.
The Origins of Horus, completed. Now, the next case is Severed Ties, and from what I remember in the original version, it is the best case in the game. However, I think Origin of Horus, this third case, is so much better than the original version. Like, holy fucking shit. This is so much better now. I actually like this case now. Like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck, man? Like, holy shit. Anyways, I'll see you all next time when we start the 4th case of this game. Bye-bye!